She's wearing her best space chandelier, too.
She is.
I can't believe they made a figure of Jessica, and it's period, but they made a figure of her, and it's wearing that fucking still suit.
Oh, and from the second one? Yeah. Not even with, like, all the writing on her face? Like, not even...
No.
Stupid. What's the point?
I want gowns! Beautiful gowns! Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching Dune Prophecy, Season 1, Episode 1.
The Hidden Hand. It's a bad year to be a little blonde princeling on an HBO drama.
I thought about that. I thought, okay. That was a lot. I thought it was
gnarly.
I wish they had cut off his head.
Yeah, God. What I wouldn't give for a little throat slitting.
No. So we watched Dune Prophecy. Hi, if you're new, we watch shows and then we talk about them, and we talk about what we thought about them, and we're not experts, nor are we particularly smart or funny.
No, stop saying that! I'm very smart and funny. And I don't care if you like me or you agree with me.
No, that's not the point I'm making. My point is I'm not like a scholar of Dune here to give you 23 Easter eggs you missed from the thing we finished watching 5 minutes ago.
I've read the first book 1.5 times, and that's it. And I've seen the movies. And the miniseries from Sci-Fi.
So did you like this?
Yes, a lot. Yeah. I mean, it's mostly just because of all those women. They are all those women and Mark Strong. I
do, because I made a joke, and you were like, you like Mark Strong? And I was like, sure. And then we were watching this, and I was like, I love Mark Strong.
Love Mark Strong. He's just great. Like, because all the way back from, like, Stardust, which I think is the first thing I, like, distinctly remember him in.
For me, because, I mean, I'm familiar with Emily Watson, but I love Olivia Williams.
Yeah, no, same.
And she kind of is one of those people who, like, takes, like, 7 years off and then does something amazing, and then takes, like...
I'll tell you what, she actually does consistently gig.
Does she?
It's just that we don't watch all of the stuff.
That type of prestige.
Yeah, but she was in a show that I, despite its creator, think was very underrated and didn't get the play it deserved, which was Dollhouse. Yeah. She was like the like leaders around, like the boss of the like Dollhouse like operation.
Did you follow the show?
Mostly, yes.
I largely followed it, and it's absolutely the type of show. There's a lot of made up names. There's a lot of made up words.
Yeah, well, it's
very group hoppery.
Okay, there's a lot of made up names, and then Travis Fimmel's name is Desmond.
Well, there's Jen.
And Jen, yeah. Sister Jen.
Jessica. No, you get that with these types of shows, but I followed most of it, and especially whenever at any given point, if you pause it and we're like, do you follow what's happening? I'm like, yeah. I don't always connect things from scene to scene.
So basically...
Like, I didn't fully get that, what was her name, Cashapp?
Yes.
I didn't fully get that she was the one that was in the meeting with Mark Strong, and that was the two kings or whatever negotiating the marriage.
Lady Jessica.
Yeah. So basically,
except I don't think they're banging.
No, we'll find out. Well,
not anymore.
Well, we might, because I guess it's in 2 time periods.
We do seem to be, jumping.
There's young and old versions, but it's in the Dune movies world.
Yeah.
It's I guess the world was normal. They had machines that had artificial intelligence. Yep. They were too powerful and out of control, and so humanity defeated the machines and then put in a bunch of really strict rules about how technology can exist in this world.
Yeah.
So they have elements of technology, but also in many ways it's very classical.
Analog. Yeah.
Which is maybe the way to go. I'm starting to think the machines have too much.
Here's the thing, though. It's a slippery slope, because there's a lot of things in this show that are mirroring present day.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and also, because the Bene Gesserit, this is kind of about sort of the founding of them and all that.
Yes, because blessedly, this takes place 10,000 years before the events of Dune, which is like my favorite part about it. Because, yes, we've got the names. There is an Atreides, there is a Harkonnen, we've got the names. But, like, it's not... It's
You're
so
making reference to House of the
removed.
Dragon and how that started sliding down the scale
until
to be
we were
closer and closer to the events of
111 years before the birth of Daenerys, and I was like, that's not long enough.
But when it was first pitched, it was pitched as like 400 years.
No, that was the Naomi Watts one.
No, I understand that, but I thought they were playing it fast and loose. I thought it kind of kept consistently getting closer and closer.
Not far enough away.
The Bene Gesserit is, we'll go with gray?
Yeah.
They're doing eugenics.
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to engineer a perfect king, basically. But their definition of a perfect king is a king who will do what they say.
Well, so I don't know how far yet we've gotten into the, like, prophecy of Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they're currently working towards that end. But right now, what they've told us is that they want a Bene Gesserit as the empress.
Okay.
Which is the point of Inez.
Okay.
Because basically they organized her wedding to the little boy because she will have many years to go to Wallach 9 or whatever it's called and train with the Bene Gesserit and like understand their motivations, and then that way she will be a Bene Gesserit essentially on the throne of the universe.
Because they're basically like high priestesses.
Yeah.
And where do they get their importance from? Why do they think they're the ones who need to control everything?
Themselves, I think.
Okay. But that's sort of my question is, should we trust and welcome our new female overlords? I'm willing to give them a shot.
I mean, sort of. Like, I would prefer these ones being in charge than Lady Jessica at the end of the second Dune movie, but, you know, so basically that's like, at the beginning, Valia was like, my family, she basically didn't see eye to eye with the rest of the Harkonnens, and so she was like, so I took myself away and came here, and what was the...
I like that the Harkonnens are kind of like genetically villainous.
God,
like it's deeply rooted in there.
Well, and it's gonna, speaking of Game of Thrones, it's gonna be
Lannister.
Right, no, Robert Baratheon.
Oh.
Is the like head Harkonnen that we saw in the previews for like going forward.
That is who he was. Okay.
I always forget his name.
Yeah.
But yeah. So no, Reverend Mother Rakella was like the beginning of the Bene Gesserit. So it basically, I think it started as this sort of like female collective, but as she was going through it, Rakella was the one who was like, I think we need eugenics to like get a perfect being, essentially. And her granddaughter, I guess, Dorotea, was the one who was, she had like kind of fringe followers, and she was like, after Rakella died, she was like, we can't keep doing this. It's like not right. We're playing God.
But Rakella kind of picked Valia to be her.
Yeah. But I think it was going like through a family line. But then obviously Valia made Dorotea kill herself. Really? No, again, gnarly. Yeah.
Well, I was expecting more drama.
Yeah.
And if I've learned anything about Valia, I feel like she's not necessarily one for a dramatic flourish.
No.
She seems like she gets things done.
Yeah.
It was...
She also seems to be the originator of the voice.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And it seems like that was like the first time that she had used it. Yeah. And I'm guessing we're going to see sort of its development and implementation.
That's the other thing that's cool too, is because so Dorotea was on her way to like essentially purge all of the like genetic code that they had, which I assume was like kind of like a sperm bank or an embryo bank or something. So she was on her way to go purge it, and that's when Valia stopped her. But I'm sort of torn. I'm sort of in between. I mean, obviously Dorotea could not have been argued with in that moment against destroying it. But also, I'm like, there's a middle ground between destroying all of this genetic code and then, you know.
And also murdering her with magic.
Yeah,
for the first time, we could have had a couple conversations.
I feel like we could have reached a path, like a middle path.
At least try.
Yeah.
I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas.
But obviously, it was like, so, like, again, like I said, Dorotea was not going to listen. But also, Valia was like, you don't have the numbers for this, essentially. You're making a unilateral decision and you only have a handful of, like, you know, what did she call them? Not acolytes, but she was like...
That word was used.
Yeah, word was used, but it was like, she's just got like this fringe little group that are on her team, whereas
Also,
Valia has like the rest of them.
I don't remember the word they used, but my understanding was that Raquella passed a vision on to Valia of like a Ragnarok of sorts.
Well, it was like
they called it something.
It was like the worms on Arrakis.
Just that they exist.
Well, I just think like the future, like kind of like the future that we are also gonna come to see.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like a lot, like everything is about Arrakis. Like we've already discovered Arrakis.
I'm so sick of Arrakis.
We're already, it's never ending.
Apparently.
Yeah, no.
Apparently.
Like in one of the books, Will said they just start terraforming it. So, but yeah, it's.
Because that's my favorite part about this one, about this show so far, is the minimal Arrakis.
Yeah.
And also the palaces and the gowns and the conversations and there was a party.
The designer space drugs.
It was kind of like a more mature version of the scene from Attack of the Clones when they go to the nightclub.
Sure,
kind of like a Blade Runner-esque version.
Yeah.
And that is all I've ever wanted and all I've ever asked for from something. And now that I'm getting it, part of me is sort of like, it's happening! It's happening! Oh my god!
And also the canonically United States 1950s diner.
From Attack of the Clones.
From Attack of the Clones.
Not from this.
No,
we're not going to get one of those.
No, thank God.
Willing.
I think that's hilarious. That in a galaxy far away, long ago, there is a canonically American 1950s diner.
They have a fondness for Americana.
that potentially has not existed yet. It's so funny.
That was your hold the projector moment with
it really bums me out because I know that George Lucas, this is not important,
no.
but I know that George Lucas has like a real fondness for the 1950s, like I understand that, but at the same time, I'm like, but it doesn't work. It simply doesn't work.
So, they're training, what are they're Bene Gesserit? They're just called that? Or they're nuns, witches, sisters. There's the word. So they're training sisters. We have a couple of them.
It is very Catholic because she is like the Reverend Mother, essentially,
The only one of them that resonated with me was Jen.
So we've got Lila, which is the kind of little mousy one that Tula believes is a true seer.
Do we know what that means? She gets visions.
It's like innate to her. She's like she's going to be a really good truth sayer.
Oh, and the truth sayer, that's just sort of like a.
I think it kind of feels like all of them.
No,
they can just tell you're lying.
Okay.
Or if you're telling the truth. But it seems like it's all of them. So Lila, and then we've got Sister Theodosia, who is, I think the one that she said was Valia's favorite. And then there's Jen. Sister Emmeline, which is Aoife Hines, the one that I said I wish she'd stop being able to, or being this character, because she's very like, the princess. And
similar in Dairy Girls.
Yeah. And that's all I have that like specifically says sister on here. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Yeah.
Okay. And so yeah, they were training. We checked in on them. We went through time a little bit. We had the princess, Inez.
Yep.
She has a brother, wasn't it Constantine?
Constantine, yeah.
He was
Josh
a lot of
Houston,
things.
Yeah.
He was giving me very, I can't think of his name, the one brother from Jupiter Ascending.
Ah, sure.
I can't think of the
other
guy's
one.
name,
Yeah.
But he seems like he's no good. Do you think he's no good? Do you think he's...
I think I'm curious if he's like young.
He's got big Sebastian Stan energy, but which project?
That's fair. For me, I'm kind of curious because like it's Inez's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the whole thing. And I sort of wonder if she's older and that's why, like if she's the heir to it, because I'm sort of wondering why he's not marrying the sister.
Mm-hmm. His sister or...
No, God, the little boy's
Well,
sister.
would that be a bridge too far?
Well, yeah, I don't think there's incest in this.
Oh, okay. Just burning children alive from the inside out.
It's not Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That I'm kind of curious about.
I kind of hope because the family
which family?
Pruitt was the boy's name.
Yeah.
I assumed that was his mother and sister, and I was like, them.
Yeah.
They're my favorite. I want them, and I feel like we might be just done with that family. I don't know.
Depends.
Because she was making eyes at Constantine.
She was, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at, where it's like, if he's the spare, I kind of get it. But otherwise, I'm like, we could secure this same stuff for Arrakis with, like, an age-appropriate marriage. But again, if it's just because of all the Bene Gesserit, then obviously it makes sense.
And then Inez has a trainer who is an Arrakis.
Atreides.
There you go. Yeah. Atreides, Arrakis' planet.
His name
Again, if you're new, I have a hard time with nonsense names, and this is wall-to-wall.
Nothing but nonsense names. So his name is Kieran. He's, like, training her to fight. And then by the end, they are fully boning. Yeah. After they, like, are...
He was very swashbuckling. He was very Flynn Rider,
like
Han Solo.
Aerosolized spice.
Whippets.
Yeah, like spice whippets.
Actually, it's funny that I said Han Solo, because you know who was giving Han Solo was Travis Fimmel. He, like, when he did that thing with the wall while he was walking up, he was giving it. Yeah. I think I love Travis Fimmel.
We do this every time we watch a Travis Fimmel thing.
He just doesn't do what I think he's supposed to.
Yeah.
And I mean, I obviously was endeared to him as an underwear model from the year 2002. And he is, though technically the same person, a very different person now.
Yeah.
And
he's really leaned into, like, the ruggedness in a way that he was like...
Well, and he's not... He, in his underwear model days, was beautiful. Like, tears of the gods beautiful. And he's handsome now, but in a much different way. Almost unrecognizable. Yeah. And like I said, because I watched like 4 seasons of Vikings, and I was like, I cannot tell if he's a bad actor that lucks out, or like a good actor that just makes really bold choices. Yeah. And again, because we even talked about how...
He keeps getting work.
He does, and I like him, but it's just never what I expect. And I mean, as I'm saying it, I'm like, but isn't that what I'm always asking for? Yeah. So, I mean, I do like him, but I think it's interesting. I think he's interesting.
I agree.
So he's a soldier that...
Well, I don't know if he was necessarily a soldier. He was on Arrakis. I think mining spice. And I think what Mark Strong was watching, that like video that he was watching.
The hologram, yeah.
I think it was a worm attack. But I don't know if that was, like, brand new information. Like, they didn't know about the worms yet, or what. But he seemed very startled by what he was seeing.
I wasn't following his introduction, because I could literally feel myself organizing my thoughts, like, trying to make sure that I was following the plot.
Yeah.
And so I didn't retain what he told Mark Strong, but I remember the Bene Gesserit being like, he's telling the truth, or at least he believes he's telling the truth. Oh, sure.
Okay, yeah.
And that, again, wasn't a mistake. They wrote it that way on purpose.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe there are, let's go with a couple layers to his character.
Yeah. Well, he also seems to be some sort of magic as well, because it obviously appears that he set the boy and Kasha on fire.
And Kasha was in a different galaxy.
Planets apart, yeah. Way far apart.
And it was like simultaneously that he did that. Kind of at Mark Strong's...
Well, yeah. Mark Strong was like, I'll tell you what, if I can avoid this marriage, or like if this marriage can be avoided, maybe I'll start believing in the gods. And Travis Fimmel was like, bet. And he was like, I will burn them alive from the inside out.
Both you and Will were like, oh, so we are just going to kill this kid.
Just going to kill him, for sure.
He had a little mechanical lizard that was awesome, but also against the rules.
Forbidden.
If we know anything.
Yeah.
I love the Queen, too. She played an almost identical role in The Witcher, only she's a little bit glammed out here. She was kind of like Butch in The Witcher.
Well, she was like a warrior queen on The Witcher, yeah.
But she just has such a severity to her face and to her temperament, like her tone, and the Queen Camanthe, like the butchness really suited her.
Yeah.
But yet I'm also kind of loving her as a queen here, but that part still, I don't know. I love all like the red silk and the gold, like I said, the gold face chandeliers, and the wedding was so amazing.
Well, it was just an engagement party. They're not fully married.
That ceremony was the wedding.
No, it was like an engagement party because he's a child.
Well, yeah. I mean, but
that was so
nothing good starts with eating a pomegranate seed.
Okay, first of all, no, we're gonna start before that. When her mother's helping her dress in a blood red corset and like hip enhancer, and then she comes out head to toe blood red, and I was like, this feels sexual for an engagement party with a child. And then they like take the lid off and he was kind of a little shit too. They take the lid off this thing and it is like the most
succulent
like yeah, I don't even know the like ripe doesn't even like fecund. I was like, what are we, like it's just really like my SAT words are failing me, but just really aggressively ripe and juicy and like so plump,
fertile for the
yeah. And they have to like feed it to each other and he takes it from her hand, but then he puts it in her mouth. But yeah, they have to like crotchless panties open up the middle of her like veil.
But it's like, this is the kind of weird shit that I'm like, show me something I haven't seen.
For sure.
Like, give me world building that makes me go.
But I just was like, again, he's like 9. It was so weird.
And you're right, he was kind of a little shit. Yeah. And so that took the edge off a little bit. I don't know. Well, he was still a child being burned alive saying, please don't stop. It hurts.
Yeah. He also, after he got caught with the little lizard thing, he seemed legitimately frightened and scared and
frightened enough to not.
Well, and remorseful until he like pulled it out later and was like, don't worry, you're okay. And then obviously he learned it from his father because he was like, father says we're too strict about these things. And I'm just like, yeah, but like that lizard could start the like AI revolution again. Like
Valia had a dream, like a premonition. That was another part where I could feel my brain sorting information. So all I remember is like Inez was on the ceiling and it was like raining sand or something.
That was Kasha had that dream. Yeah,
Kasha had that.
And so she went back to Wallach 9 and was like, hey man, I've got bad vibes about this. And Valia was like, too bad, so sad, get back to your post. And basically she was like, stay the night, but then go back.
That feels like Valia's resting state.
Too bad, so sad.
Go back to your post.
Go back to your post.
Like that's her MO, modus operandi.
And then so she was like, stay the night and then go back tomorrow because we need your influence there. And if you're not there, then like Inez might not come. And so, but it was that night that she burned up.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Valia finally was like, oh, I see you, mother. And like, I feel like all she's doing is like, yeah, okay, I get it now. And I feel like she's not going to actually get it.
Gonna get it. Also, Emily Watson's hair was like...
in my opinion, she is like stealth beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's kind of matronly and she sort of always has been. She's got like a very round nose and like a kind of square face.
We don't actually understand beauty.
Yeah.
Anytime that we're appraising beauty, we're almost always exclusively talking about young, feminine, like female attractiveness to a mate.
Sure.
And there are so many people where I'm like, oh wow, that person's really beautiful. And sometimes somebody will look at me sideways. I'm like, just as a human.
Yeah.
Just as a person.
Yeah.
Like
not somebody that I want to mix my genetic code with.
I'm not like, ooh, that person is sexually like fecund, if one might say.
I hate that I said it. It's like
no, it was
correct,
perfect.
but it's not a word I like.
But no, there are people who like are very beautiful or very handsome, who do not necessarily have those. And I agree because it's like I wouldn't necessarily think of her that way, but there was a handful of times in this episode and like images where I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I don't know, I love that kind of stuff. I really,
because I also thought they did a really good job casting young Valia. I thought she was really good too. She actually looks like this girl. I don't follow her on TikTok, but I see her a lot. She's an Irish girl and she just like is constantly like eating Chinese food. That's like your Chinese food order or whatever, and she looks a lot like that girl. It's really funny.
So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we need to.
Yeah, so the little boy and Kasha are dead. Inez was definitely boning the Atreides. We're unclear about the brother. What's going on with the brother? I feel like the Emperor is gonna have a mess to clean up. I do like that we're kind of going back and forth between the timelines, because I was sad to lose Dorothea, because I thought she was pretty good. The other thing is Valia and Tula were trying to decide which sister should be, I think, Inez's, like, mentor, kind of, and they weren't, like, 100% sure who they should choose, so I think that's still up in the air. Because they both have their favorites, but then they, like, all have, like, downsides as well. So, yeah, I liked it quite a lot. I'm really excited to see how
I like it more now,
going.
especially after we talked about it a little bit. So, yeah, watch the space. We're going to be covering the whole show. We might not have every episode on Sunday night. It might be ones that we get to later in the week, and or we might cover 2 at a time, depending on how the holidays and our scheduling and stuff goes. But our plan is to cover the whole show this way.
Yes.
And, yeah, we're nearing the end of the year, so we don't have anything specifically to hawk at the moment. As always, there's the Patreon, where we've been doing way more. If you're new or returning, haven't been here in a minute, we've been doing a ton on the Patreon lately. We try to have at least one movie watch along a month, but sometimes, like for Halloween, we had like 6.
And we're doing like 4 things this month too, because of all the Wizard of Oz stuff that
we've been celebrating Wicked. Wicked month, November. And so, we've got stuff coming up for that. And, please like and subscribe, comment, be reasonable if you're going to do that. And,
Bye!